Module 3, Engaging All Students in STEAM. In this course module, we will show you how to make your teaching content more interesting and engaging, no matter if it is in-person training or an online lesson. We will explore more useful tips and tricks, as well as which tools you can use to make your content interesting. How can you make STEAM more interesting for students? There are 3 key aspects in making STEAM more accessible and engaging for students. Relatability. Every learner is more motivated to progress and understand the content when they are aware of how it relates to their own personal life and their daily activities. This can be random and very normal activities like baking a cake or counting how much money we have left for food. Even such simple actions are STEAM-related. Understanding. It is important to accustom your teaching to the learner's knowledge. Exercises need to be customized to the learning style and progress of the students. Further, as a trainer or educator, you need to have an openness towards diversity in learning, whether it concerns how a learner improves the best or if they need longer for one topic but are faster with another. Participation. Exercises, experiments, and creative engagement are key in making learning interesting and motivating for students. When someone learns through a hands-on approach, they are more engaged in what is happening and are learning by doing. We have 6 practical tips for how to make exercises engaging and interesting for students. Be unpredictable when making exercises. Surprise students with unusual exercises, make them stand up and move around when they expect that it will be a lecture, or combine activities with surprising experiments. Use multimedia, for example, videos and graphics of content the students know. This can be modern television shows or movies they are familiar with. Often such movies have interesting scenes that can also have a learning effect. Speak freely. While presentations can be used as support and for visual learners, presentations should not include every single word you are planning to say in your lessons. Speak freely and use your intonation and highlighting sentences or words as a way to keep students interested and for them to mark which parts of the content are especially important. There can never be a total consensus on decisions or when we talk about opinions, especially when it concerns sensitive topics. Accept that your learners might have different perspectives and opinions among themselves and sometimes also with you. Among the group of learners, talk about how these differences might have started and developed and try to find compromises if a consensus is necessary. Learning can be fun. Therefore, it is not forbidden to use a little bit of humour or jokes. As long as the jokes are appropriate, a few fun lines or engaging with humorous discussions with the students can lighten the learning atmosphere and make the classroom more engaging. Hands-on learning is a key in making learning motivating and relatable. When a student has to do an experiment themselves or try something out with their own hands, they are more likely to want to find out more and to remember what they have done. As a practical exercise, you can try to implement a STEAM journal. For a certain duration, this can be hours, days, or weeks, depending on your availability. Let the students write up a daily journal on what STEAM actions they engaged in during their day. You can use the checklist in this presentation as an example and add more or reduce the possible choices. Before the exercise, you should explain how the example actions relate to STEAM and discuss them with the students. After the activity, ask the students if they found actions that weren't listed that are related to STEAM. While we know movement can make exercises more interesting, such is often not possible with digital content. Here is a short list of ways on how digital content can be made more engaging. Use quizzes and interactive content where the students are asked to take part themselves. Clicking buttons, answering surveys, and more. Example tools which can help with this are Kahoot and Mentimeter. Visual content like short videos, music videos, or film scenes can further support digital content. Be careful to not use too long of the clips or videos, as you might lose someone's attention while watching. Images can further improve your digital content. But not just simple images, also tables, infographics, and even memes to spice up your digital content. Tools like Canva and Prezi further enable to make moving presentations which have interesting transitions between each slide and make reading more fun. Try to use colours and different layouts in your digital content. You can use complementary colours to make presentations easier on the eyes and more interesting to look at. If you want to engage students towards more participation and active contribution, you can also use collaborative whiteboards like Jamboard or Padlet, where all students can log in with a simple code or link and can collaboratively create something like a drawing, an artwork, or a simple brainstorming map. Another practical exercise for you or your students, present to present. In this activity, prepare different topics you want the learners to find out more about. Afterwards, put them into pairs and let them pick a random topic and a random digital tool. You can let them choose randomly and blindly, or you can let each group choose a tool on purpose. In that case, we recommend choosing tools which are not commonly used for presentations or which can give the presentations new dimensions. Now they can research the topic and present their learnt information with the digital tool they picked. You can also do this exercise by yourself to challenge yourself to update and bring innovation to your teaching materials. On the topic of inclusivity and engagement, we have to talk about stereotypes and discrimination in education. As such, gender bias is a very important topic, especially in the sector of STEAM education. What is a gender bias? There are different ways a gender bias can come forth in education. Teachers of certain subjects prefer, include and/or exclude learners based on their gender, due to them thinking the student's gender isn't suited for the subject. For example, when they assume girls shouldn't become mechanics or do engineering and boys should not work in the kitchen and cook. Another way is when female or male teachers are hired for certain subjects without looking at applications for teachers of the other gender. For example, when a school searches for math teachers but only looks at the applications of male teachers. Lastly can be when students receive career orientation and recommendations based on their gender. For example, when boys are recommended for medicine only and girls are recommended for childcare. And how can such a bias be avoided in STEAM learning? Adapt learning and content to the knowledge level and most effective learning type of the participants before the training. Avoid adapting it to gender, origin, or based on other prerequisites. If necessary, ask for the participants' experiences and knowledge on STEAM before the lessons. Include a diversity of and as many learners in experiments and presentations. Try to switch the participating learner every other round to someone who has not had their turn yet. Lastly, give recommendations for STEAM learning and professions to all learners and interested parties. All genders, all knowledge levels, and all origins can learn and work in STEAM.